The environment has to be changed.
What we're saying is have a heart.
We've got to be able to regenerate our
There'll
economy.
be people who are kind, people who are cruel, but that's life. You can be bigoted about pigeons. I'm fine with that.
Let me take you up on that comment on early testing. Now that you've conducted these testings in different areas and different establishments, how early has the testing been? What are the results that you have found? Do you detect them all early?
Well, it's really hard to say that because you see
different stages.
The thing is that the majority of people are still found in the late stages.
About 60%.
60% at least. I think younger people or people who are educated, and I don't mean that in any unkind way, but people who are more educated, who have travelled more, are more aware that they need to come and be tested. But there's always been this incredible reservation. But we're seeing more and more young people coming, which I think is a really important thing. I mean, the more people that are tested, the more people who put themselves at risk and come forward, the earlier they can start treatment. Of course, the better off they are, because the earlier you start, the more chance of survival. The later you start, you're already nearly full-blown AIDS, so to bring you back...
No, the scary thing is that you've
difficult.
been infecting people all this while.
Well, exactly. Well, that's the other point, is that people are infecting other people without realizing it, or they might think they've put themselves at risk, and, you know, by the time they come, it's a year or two down the track.
Okay.
And when people do come in and I say to them, why have you waited so long? Oh, well, you know, I was really scared to come. So it's really fear of the self. They're terrified that they're actually infected.
Fear of discovering that they are infected.
Yes.
Okay, not wanting to know that they are infected.
A lot of them don't want to
90%
know.
of the 469 are not voluntary testing. They are tested through medical checkups where they are caught in prison, where they report for work.
90%. So
90%.
that's the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of people undetected wandering around.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes,
Voluntary,
so that's
sure.
the whole
Probably
point.
2 to 3 times as many people out there
Who are
with
infected.
HIV than the official numbers will tell you.
That is the figure that we want to increase. Voluntary testing. Know your state. Know your
status.
Yeah.
Go for voluntary testing. Don't because
wait.
90% of them is through medical checkup, not on their own free will that they come for tests.
That's nightmarish. If you say that of the 469 cases that were discovered, 90% of them were detected not through their own volition.
Only 50% of voluntary testing.
I've got some other nightmare statistics, and you tell me whether it's accurate. In 2010, 54% of the HIV-infected persons detected were already in the late stages.
That's
this
right.
means
That's
that
correct.
they
That's
have been
right.
carriers, and that's true. Tan Tock Seng Hospital study 2009 to 2010 said that among the 41,543 patients, they found that 8 in 10 of the patients refused to get tested.
That's correct.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because of the
Yeah, it has a
fear.
lot to do with the stigma of HIV.
You see, it's all to do with stigma.
And you know that the very small percentage, the 11% that agreed to be tested, they actually found 16 people that were infected. But the 79%, we do not know. They're still wandering around. Okay, one more statistic. The survey among the high-risk heterosexual men, 98% of the heterosexual men that were high risk said that they were not at risk.
That's
right.
No, but
Never
this verges on the ignorant. And let's be
Well, there's
euphemistic.
an awful lot of ignorance out there about HIV.
huge. And the point is that education is still not enough. There is still not enough education, basic education being given in schools, in universities, in business. And unfortunately, people are tired. What do we say about they feel that this is not the issue? It's passé. HIV is passé. We don't want to talk about HIV anymore. If I go to a company and I say, shipping company, which is I'm working with at the moment, and I say, look, you need to put a policy in place, and they agree. We need to start educating your crews. So they send me to Shanghai, they send me to Manila. But when I say to them, look, well, what about your staff? Oh, well, we don't need to train our staff. And I say, oh, your staff don't have sex, is that it? See, people don't want to admit everybody has sex. Hello?
Really?
Yeah, which is why Standard Chartered, there is no cure for HIV, right? So the only way to preventing is really through education, and that's what we advocate.
Okay, how many companies are responsible, like Standard Chartered, socially responsible in wanting to champion a cause that is important?
I don't know many.
Well, there are numbers
yeah.
of companies
You should know.
who do corporate social responsibility. There are a lot.
But name them. They deserve to be named.
Deutsche Bank is one.
Deutsche Bank.
But I went to
Swiss.
see them and
Okay, who else? Who else? Standard
they
Chartered.
will donate money, but they won't educate the people
No,
unless
that's
it's a health
helping.
week.
That's helping, yeah.
So
Who else?
when there's Chevron. I trained all the
Okay.
people at Chevron, both here in Malaysia and
Levi's?
here. Who else?
Levi's, right?
Levi's.
Levi's.
Yes.
Levi Strauss is a very good company.
Body
They've done-
Shop.
And the Body,
Body
Shop,
Shop,
but the
yeah.
Body Shop
Yeah.
say.
Q just supported us with
Who?
Kills.
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 Q.
No, Kills, that brand, KIELS.
KHIEL.
that-
Okay,
Sorry.
Kiehl's.
Cosmetics.
Kiehl's. They sell soap, right?
Yeah.
I've worked
The German
with
brand,
a lot
okay.
of pharmaceutical companies, of course,
Yes,
because
of
it's in
course,
their
it's in their
interest.
interest. Yeah.
So Pfizer, for example, done all the
course,
jobs.
yeah.
AbbVie, I've done.
All
training
these
for
are
them.
Western international firms. How about
Yes.
Singapore firms?
Very.
Standard Chartered, Standard Chartered.
NTUC.
NTUC, good for them.
I had one oil company,
Local?
a local oil company, but
Capital.
the guy got it. I went to
What
do a
company
talk
is
at SNEF. It was called Titan Oil. It was a long time ago. But the guy got it. He was a Singaporean, and he took me in. Not only did I train top to bottom, but I also trained a Russian sea crew, which were really, that was great fun.
Do you
And I-
approach local companies or do you
I
normally?
do, but even mentioning the
Cold-calling.
word on the phone. You see, what I have learned over the years is when you cold call a company, the very person you speak to, their sexual persuasion, their attitude will colour who they put you through to. It's their attitude. So if you go and see an HR manager and you say to him, look, I want to educate your people, and I'm going to do a condom demonstration. Oh, no, it's because of his own personal issues that will stop you from educating 3,000 people.
Maybe it's the approach. You know, there's this guy in Thailand. He used to sell condoms and he made them
Michai.
into balloons.
Yes, I
That-
know
yeah.
Michai. Now,
Known as
he
Mr.
did-
Condom.
Mr. Condom. Look, he did a wonderful
Yes.
job.
And the education in a way that people
Yes,
enjoy.
you try and do it in Singapore.
I guess
You tried?
different
I
cultures.
mean, it's a very different culture.
You have
It's
to
a very
repackage it as a
conservative
health,
culture.
Okay.
HIV will repackage it to part of the health talk. You cannot just go in as HIV talk. You'll never be invited in.
Okay, so there's
so
still
we
stigma.
repackage it as a you can
Well
health
done.
Very
talk
difficult.
with
Okay.
high blood pressure and all the diabetics. And
Okay.
then
You have to package it.
you have to package
And
it
slip
in
it
a
in.
Yeah,
different
and slip it
way.
in.
All right.
You have to definitely
Okay.
package it.
Later I want to go talk about stigmatization, but I have a question for the doctor, because if people are discovered with AIDS so late and they're reluctant to go for testing, what's worrying is the period of infectiousness. Can you tell us what are the consequences of somebody? How many people do they infect? Have studies been done on the danger and the risk they pose to society if they continue to have casual sex? And one single person, what sort of impact do they have on society in advancing the incidence of HIV infection?
To put it very simply, one person has HIV is because he got it infected from someone who wasn't treated. Okay, so the crux of it is, if we can stop all this, if everyone's treated, potentially we can stop the whole HIV epidemic. And the Swiss believes very, very much in this.
The Swiss.
The Swiss.
Okay.
Okay, they believe that treatment is so important, that it's a lot more important than condom use. That's what the Swiss thinks. But I think it goes hand in hand. If we have treatment and we have condom use, we can drastically reduce the rate of transmission of HIV. Testing.
That's quite radical. You're saying that prevention. Yes, you're saying that treatment of those sick is better than prevention.
No, the Swiss believes it.
Okay.
So I believe that early testing, early treatment, condom use, all these three together, we can actually try to turn the tide of HIV.
But what if you get a free-ranging infectious person?
There will be people like this.
Okay.
And
you know, when they had SARS, they tracked this down that one person will infect so many people and all that. It was quite scary. But is this the same sort of infectiousness in AIDS or it's not in HIV?
No.
Keep their sexual history.
There are people who have HIV who will look for victims because they were themselves victimized and they would victimize others.
But this is like.
But there are very few and far between.
Disgruntled people.
Very,
unhappy
very few and
people.
far
Okay.
between. And for this group of people, they are tendering on the psychotic. Let's not talk about them.
Yeah.
But if we talk about the general public, as long as the person is HIV positive, there's a risk that can transmit the infection. The longer he has had the disease, the higher amount of virus he will carry in him, the greater the risk of transmission. The fact that he picked up the disease is probably, the person would probably have had a promiscuous lifestyle, which means that he or she is likely to carry on with this lifestyle unless Susan or AFA speaks to them. So the risk is there and the risk will carry on. I cannot give you any figures as to how many people are there, but certainly I can imagine individuals who are transmitted to tens of other individuals. But hopefully in Singapore we don't see much of that.
Okay.